that after watching that game, I think Max Johnson is QB1 for LSU. And I don't think it's really that close because the stats do show that Brennan was more accurate and efficient, and he threw a touchdown up to Kayshon Boutte at the end of the half that was essentially a jump ball, and an athlete just went up and snatched it away from another player. But Johnson was running around for his life back there behind an offensive line that was not doing a really good job of protecting him. And he was keeping plays alive and putting the ball into spots where his guys could make plays. And I think even the stats would show that Johnson is the better option because of his ability to create space and get out of the pocket and move and get rid of the ball. Now, I mean, he made some throws, specifically one to Jontre Kirkland, where Kirkland was running, it looked kind of like a post route that Johnson was rolling to his left and threw back and dropped it into a bucket, and he couldn't have handed it off 35 yards down the field any better than he put it on his face mask. He threw some passes on Saturday that I thought really jumped off in watching year-to-year development as far as his arm strength goes and his accuracy. I think Max Johnson is LSU's quarterback come day one of fall camp. I think LSU's quarterback in the opener against UCLA is going to be Max Johnson. I think that Max Johnson, barring any type of injury and staying healthy, is going to be the quarterback in the SEC opener for LSU. I believe this because he gives them the best chance to win. While it's a really good competition, and they got 4 guys that can legitimately play. I mean, it's the first time I can look at LSU's roster and say out loud, they got 4 dudes that can win you games in the SEC. I mean, Garrett Nussmeier down the line, that's exciting to think about.
Little Nussy hustle, dude.
Man. I mean, he's got just the ability to, just an athlete. Just an athlete back there with a really strong arm and a smart football mind. I know he threw a couple interceptions, but the guy was supposed to be at his prom.
He kept throwing, though, you know?
Yeah, right. And he just kept lacing them up and going back out there. That's what I love about it. He made a move on Jaquelin Roy one time where if it's live, I don't think Roy gets his hands on him. I mean, for him to kind of dance away and show the athleticism to get away from a player like him in the heat of the moment, I think gives you really down the line to think about some exciting things to look forward to with Nussmeier and the quarterback room. Today, right now, though, it's Max Johnson's job, in my opinion, and it's not really that close. I mean, I understand that there's competition and then it's going to go back and forth, but when you talk about the guy that gives LSU the best chance to win the game, it's 14, and number 2 is way down the ladder to me. I mean, it's not a close competition as far as who gives LSU the best chance to win. We can battle and debate skill set and who is a better thrower of the football and who's a more experienced guy and who's got more, reps and all that stuff. We can debate all that. But as far as who gives LSU the best chance to win the game, that puts more pressure on the opposing defense. Who puts more pressure on the opposing defense? It's Max Johnson, and it's not close to me. I mean, especially after watching those guys play.
He went 7 for 7 in the second half. 2 touchdowns. Perfect second half.
He carried himself like a starter.
He does carry himself like a starter. He feels like a starter. I mean,
He doesn't force it.
I think that it's just, and I hate this term in our industry and when people say this because
Say it.
the eyeball test, bro.
Sniff test.
I mean, Max Johnson just checks. You have this priority checklist, I think, when you look at quarterbacks, and to me, he checks all the boxes. And I'm not going to say it, but I'm going to say it. He feels a little like Burrow in just
Demeanor.
Just the demeanor, his toughness. You can't really shake him. It's almost like if you hit him, he kind of feels like he kind of gets more into the game. And deep down, it looks like he loves this competition. He loves the fact that there's a competitive angle to this thing right now where people kind of doubt him. There's still a section of the fan base or maybe even a section of that locker room, coaching staff that may doubt him. There's some people internally that think that Orgeron's naming Johnson publicly the starter to motivate Brennan.
Mm-hmm. Kicking the ass.
Right? To see if they can't get him motivated for the summer. And I'd imagine that Johnson's probably heard that and thought, okay, try and take it away from me, old man. You know? Try and take this job away from me because it's mine now and it's going to stay that way.
Even Finley get in that before for that South Carolina game.
Yeah.
Why did Finley get that?
Yeah. I mean, that might have been in the same sense to motivate Max.
Yeah.
Because Orgeron probably saw, you know what? What can you really do this season? What can we really do except figure out who we got? Both of these guys are going to play at some point. Let's just motivate the guy that we may think is better. And see if we can't throw that other guy out there and see what happens. And look at the way that Max Johnson finished the season. That was no fluke. That was no accident. That was no luck with the way that he played and the way that he just handled himself. And for what that does to a guy with the confidence for a guy like that, can you imagine the private conversations that him and Brad Johnson are having, his dad? I mean, we've talked to his dad publicly on the air. You hear how he coaches him. He's told you the way that they go in the backyard, lift weights, watch film, break it down, do all that stuff with him and Jake, the tight end. Can you imagine the private conversations that Brad and Max are having over this competition, over the way he finished the season, to even the way that the messaging is coming out from the head coach? I mean, Burrow. You don't think Burrow was consulting with Jimmy when he was competing for the job at Ohio State? When they were talking about transfer?
Thank God he got hurt.
When he comes down here in the first season, he's learning the locker room and learning his team and taking over the job, to that second season in Baton Rouge when he's the best player in America? Max Johnson has that feel to him. I'm not saying he's going to win the Heisman and set completion percentage records. I'm just saying when you look at his pedigree, when you watch him play, when you see him around his teammates, when you get the feeling of him in this competition, I think he's LSU's best option to win every Saturday, and he's the guy. And you can keep this competition open as long as you want. You can keep this thing open throughout the season. Tell these guys to keep them motivated and keep them in the program. But I don't think Max Johnson's going to let anybody take it away from him. Because I think he's the best guy for the job every single day. And come Saturday, 14 gives LSU the best chance to win. He's their quarterback.